Earlier in the show, we talked about what it means for the national media spotlight to be on Albuquerque and APD. And this week, our correspondent Gwyneth Dolan sat down with Bernalillo County District Attorney Carrie Brandenburg to hear what her office is doing now and how she sees her relationship with APD and top city officials.
District Attorney Carrie Brandenburg, thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure.
It was recently leaked to the media that the police were investigating you for some charges involving your son and some thefts. But this came to light only after you had told the police that you were going to charge 2 officers with murder for their roles in the shooting of the homeless camper James Boyd. Is this investigation of you and its leak to the media just retaliation?
Well, I would prefer, and I've said in previous interviews, let the people connect the dots. I think that it's a pretty simple task for most people to do.
But maybe some of us are not so bright. Why don't you connect the dots for us?
Well, I don't want to. I think that, we notified union attorneys that we were planning on proceeding in the Boyd case around October 7th. Then I became a suspect sometime in November. And I think that it's pretty much common sense what happened. There's been several national media outlets that have followed the case, and they connect the dots very well.
Another station found some audio tape of officers saying this was just going to ruin your career, even though there was very little evidence there.
Right. I think that they use the word super weak, and that's a quote, and it won't go anywhere, but it will ruin a reputation.
Since you charged those 2 officers, there's been other pushback against you and your office. You've been, and some of your staff have been denied access to crime scenes.
Well, actually we have an MOA with task force members that are on scene at all officer-involved shootings. These are treated differently because it's thought that the public has a greater interest when an officer is involved in a shooting and perhaps there's a fatality. And so we have done that for the last 14 years. We went on the Tuesday after I made the decision or announced the decision on that Monday that we would be proceeding in the Boyd case. And my chief was turned away from the scene, and I received a phone call about 7 o'clock that evening saying, I can't attend the briefing, they want me to leave the scene. And that was rather shocking.
We've seen many people here and in other cities criticize the process that Albuquerque uses, which is the same in other cities, to investigate police shootings, saying that there's a built-in conflict of interest having the district attorney investigate these shootings because you are required to work so closely with police to prosecute other crimes. What advice would you give to another city that was just growing, perhaps, and just now deciding how they were going to prosecute officer-involved shootings?
Well, I think in every DA's office across the country that I'm aware of, they decide the officer-involved shooting cases in their jurisdiction. So they might take it to a grand jury, an investigative grand jury that we used to do. They just may make an internal decision within days and an internal decision within weeks. But I'm not aware of any DA's office that doesn't make that decision if a shooting happens within their jurisdiction. I think New York may have a panel of individuals. We researched this when we were developing our protocol. May have a panel, and some other states may have statewide areas or panels that deal with these. But typically it's the district attorney's office, and it's not viewed as a conflict. We prosecute cops all the time if they're accused of a crime. We have prosecuted a number of law enforcement officers that were working at the time that they allegedly committed a crime, but they just weren't officer-involved shooting cases.
But don't these recent incidents reveal that there is a tension and a conflict of interest here?
I don't think that there's a conflict of interest. If you look at the law, I don't think that there is a conflict of interest. And the individuals that we have going out to the scene are chief deputies, and they usually have very little contact with the law enforcement officers that are involved. So I don't see it as a conflict. The law, I don't believe, recognizes it as a conflict. And lawyers are taught to compartmentalize. And that's what we do, and we do it very well. If we thought there was any conflict, of course, we would ask another prosecutor to step in, that being either the Attorney General's office or other DAs throughout the state.
There seems to be a lot of tension between your office and the city, particularly the Chief Administrative Officer, Rob Perry. You're a Democrat. they're Republicans. Is this political?
Well, I can't speak for them. I can speak for myself. And I was elected to do a job, and I have to do that job. And I don't care about, to me, justice isn't about being Republican or Democrat. Justice is justice. And so it certainly doesn't impact me, and I can't speak for them.
So, I mean, do you expect that you would have tensions like this if there were someone in at the top of City Hall with whom you were close, with whom you were in the same party?
No. Well, in the same party, I mean, I don't view it as a Republican, Democrat. I don't see you. I don't know what your political affiliation is. I'm going to treat you the same regardless. That's what I would expect from a professional that's elected to office, that has an obligation to the taxpayers. I do think that in the last 5 years, we used to have a very good working relationship with the mayor. I was in contact with him weekly, bi-weekly, very good relationship with the chief of police throughout all the different chiefs of police over the last 14 years. They could call me 24/7. I could call them 24/7. It wasn't uncommon for me to get a phone call saying, I need to be over at your office. Can you meet with me in 5 minutes? I'd say, sure, I'm here. We had that kind of communication, and I thought that that was great, and I felt we were true partners. We need to be partners because we all have such limited resources. You know, truthfully, over the last 5 years, we don't have that anymore. And I can say, and it breaks my heart to say this, but every year I think it's gotten worse and worse and worse in terms of communication and openness, and I think that that is a real tragedy. Because we do have limited resources, and we do want a safe community, a safe and healthy community for all of us, and it doesn't seem to be very productive.
So why has that relationship deteriorated?
I don't know. I really don't know why. We have made offers, we've attempted to communicate. We know that the last year has been very busy with the Department of Justice investigation, and they're trying to work out a settlement agreement. But we've called meetings, we've invited them to press conferences, we've tried to get them involved, and they just haven't been engaged the way that previously other administrations had been. And I think probably we've backed off a little bit with their not wanting to engage, and the invitations aren't as frequent as they were initially.
Let me back up and talk about the Boyd shooting one time. Your office has reviewed so many other officer-involved shootings that we've had over the past few years and didn't move to bring charges against any of them. Why did you do that with the Boyd shooting?
Well, I don't want to get into the facts. It's really important that we not try this case in the media because I think it would jeopardize the integrity of the case. There were differences. We thought that we had probable cause, and that's why we're moving it to prelim. I don't think people understand that DAs aren't prosecuting officer-involved shooting cases all over the country. We know that, and it's in the news, and it's because the law doesn't allow us to. The law gives law enforcement officers broad discretion, and I mean state law in New Mexico as well as United States Supreme Court law gives them broad discretion. That's why we're not prosecuting. I always said that when we had a case where we felt we had probable cause, we would go forward, and I always said we would go forward by way of preliminary hearing because it's all out in the open. I know in Ferguson and in New York, they presented those cases to the grand jury. A lot of people have questions about that. A preliminary hearing, no one's going to have questions because it's all going to be out in the open. And we don't decide. The judge will decide what's appropriate and whether or not the officer should be bound over.
You know, people have said it is hard to understand why not a single one of these other cases had enough probable cause to deserve a hearing like this.
You know, and what I say to them is, I understand from a layperson's viewpoint. From a legal viewpoint, the law is the law, and we can't change the law. If you look at statistics across the country, and we did, because I think an important part of doing a good job is always evaluating what you're doing and making sure you're on the right path. And we did do research and studies across the nation. And I believe in Colorado, the Ellison Commission found that maybe 1 in 500 officer-involved shooting cases result in an indictment, and almost 0 result in a conviction after they've been indicted.
Is that because they're not guilty?
That's not because they're not guilty. It's because they don't have the probable cause. The way the law is written, we don't have probable cause to go forward. And let me tell you, that's not just a legal term that doesn't mean anything. We need to have probable cause before we present any case to a grand jury. That protects you and it protects me. It protects the public from an overzealous prosecutor. So that standard's real important, and we don't want that to go away. But because we have that standard, it certainly, and because of the case law, it's difficult to prosecute law enforcement officers. And you could, like I said, look around the country
Well, I don't
and
think
see
we have
how
to look that far.
how infrequently it's done.
There's been a lot of talk about restoring public trust in the Albuquerque Police Department and increasing oversight of the department with the members of the public. How do you view your own role in the process of regaining the trust of the community?
Well, I think we work towards that every day. I mean, doing the best that we can with the limited resources that we have. In explaining, I think public education is really important, and that's why I'm here, is to explain the process and why we do what we do. We also have all of our officer-involved shooting reports online that are accessible. In addition to our reports, we have a legal analysis included in every report, and we also have all of the important information, the supplemental report, forensics, the statements of the officers, the autopsy report, anything that's relevant, photographs attached to that. So if you don't agree with us, we give you everything you need to disagree with us. And I think that that's really important, and that's a very transparent process.
Is there anything more you think that you and your office could contribute to oversight of the police department in other ways?
Well, we don't control the police department. We don't have any jurisdiction over the police department unless we think crimes are being committed. And we're not an investigative agency. We take cases after they've been referred to us from an investigative agency, and then we take them to court and we prosecute them. So I think community discussions, communication with them, trying to resolve issues and problems is real important. Public education, again, is critical so that the public out there that's busy working and that has kids, that they can understand what the heck is going on.
District Attorney Carrie Brandenburg, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.